In 1984, the world watched as Shaka Khan felt for all of us, Christopher Lloyd searched for Spock, and William Gibson launched what would eventually be known as the Sprawl Trilogy. At that same time, in the toy aisles, Tonka and Hasbro were busy making 1984 the year for transforming robot toys. Transformers and GoBots were selling like mad, leading several smaller companies to jump into the fad. Almost instantly, stores were flooded with dozens, if not hundreds of robots. It was a golden age. Not surprisingly, many of those toys from smaller makers were not, how shall we say, quality items. In fact, the majority of the cheap transforming robot toys of the 80s were just that, cheap. Very cheap. But despite how many of those toys weren't the best of designs, every now and then, a small manufacturer released something that stood out from the rest. That's where this robotic radio from Typhon comes into the picture. Unlike many transforming robot toys of 1984, the robotic radio is a shockingly fabulous work of transforming robot art. The quality is every bit as good as Hasbro's Transformers from that same year. Before we take a look at the toy, we shouldn't overlook the packaging. As you can see, the airbrushed robot artwork emblazoned on the box is as amazing as anything Hasbro used during the 80s. Although the artwork isn't an exact match for the toy inside, that wasn't really unusual at the time. Fortunately, the differences between the art and the actual toy are minimal and forgivable. Unlike the official Transformers Soundwave toy that was released the same year, the robotic radio is an actual working AM radio. It works! There's nothing we want to listen to here, but it does work. Overall, the robotic radio's transformation design is relatively quick and easy, transforming very similar to Soundwave and Blaster, but the head is unusual and worth pointing out. Here, you can see the radio's handle. It swivels on 2 points, and all we have to do is pull back on the center, and then swing the 2 halves around, and there he is. Now, some people are not a fan of the face, but I like it. It's kind of mechanically insectoid. I don't know. I just think that face is awfully cool, and that transformation design's pretty sweet. Now that we have the head transformed, let's move on to the legs. To transform the toy's legs, all we're gonna do is grab this bottom piece here and hinge. And then, right here, hinge again. And then pop out the foot. Repeat on the other side. Now to transform the arms, all we're going to do is pull down. We will rotate the fists out. We just give him his axe. The robotic radio is transformed and ready for action. Once transformed, the robotic radio stands about 8 inches tall. When it comes to articulation, the robotic radio's articulation points are there almost solely for the transformation design. Limited articulation is not really a shock when it comes to transforming robot toys from 1984. After all, these were some of the first, and everybody was still learning how to design action figure robot toys that could turn into things like a working AM radio. The box artwork shows the elbows bending forward, but in actuality, the elbows on the toy bend inward. They don't bend forwards. It's a good thing these shoulders are swiveled, otherwise this guy may never be able to swing his axe. Whenever I take a close look at a toy, one of the things I really like to do is search online and find whatever information I can. Fortunately, this 1984 robot is well represented online. TheOldRobots.com shows us 12 pictures of the toy from various angles, packaging shots, and there's even a little information on the toy. The Angry Canadian Decepticon blog includes pictures of the robotic radio next to Blaster. There are also packaging shots of the toy in different colors, and even one equipped with a sword. That robot radio with a sword looks especially awesome. ToyArchive.com describes the toy as inspired by Soundwave. Maybe, but they were both released in the US in '84, so it's kind of hard for me to say for certain. Now, the transformation does kind of feel similar to Soundwave, but to be fair, Blaster has a similar transformation design to Soundwave as well. It's possible this was just the best idea somebody had to make a radio transform in 1984. I think what amazes me most about this robotic radio is it doesn't feel cheap. The toy's plastic quality is every bit as good as Hasbro's Transformers from the time, and the robotic radio feels really good in hand. He's nice, chunky. This is an excellent toy, and I am shocked at how good it is. While I wish I would have had this when I was a kid, I am very happy to have it today, and if you don't have one, you might want to look for it because it is an incredible toy.